Yes, sir.
We back in here again. All right, people. I'm sitting down with the infamous Pimpin Ken once again, my brother, businessman extraordinaire, a Class A businessman, longtime friend, entrepreneur, record exec, and an all-around player. Pimpin Ken, what's going on with you, man?
Well, man, we came down here, man, because, we recognize that there's an issue, amongst the violence in our youth.
Mm-hmm.
And we know that Uncle Junior and OG Money, they both represent two different facets of perspective in the city. And I was able to sit down with both of them brothers and, meet with them over there on University. And I had them talk about, some of the things that we can do for the children and help the kids out there. Carlos got the Player Association, so he wanted to link with the Hip Hop Fraternity. So all them brothers is part of the Hip Hop Fraternity. They own jackets. They actually members of my organization. And so, I'm originally, my father originally from Mississippi, so I have a lot of ties and plugs in the Mississippi, and all that. So, it means a lot to me, to see these brothers, be so strong, so committed at what they do. But yet sometimes, we just need a little information, So what I'm here to teach is financial literacy and teach brothers, how to leverage credit and take all of those brothers that's out there that's doing whatever they're doing and teach them how to build their credit, and then take one brother that believes in what I'm saying, help him to fix his credit, hook him up with Navy Federal, give him a $250,000 loan, then he could take that $250,000, go back into the hood, buy property in the hood, go to Home Depot, fix the houses up, and then he could take those same brothers, send them to my credit repair company. I can fix their credit, then he can sell the houses that he fixed up directly to the people that live in the community. And they don't understand that the credit bureau is not racist. Equifax is not racist. TransUnion is not racist. You know what I'm saying? Experian is not racist. They deal with metrics and numerical systems, right? And it shows whether you pay your bills on time or you don't pay your bills on time. And that's what we got to teach these brothers. Like, bro, when you go up to like where we at on the north side, or you go around, the affluent neighborhoods in Jackson, Mississippi, you see people living lavish and like these big old mansions behind us. You say, how did they do it? There's only one way. They leveraged debt, they leveraged their credit, and they were able to accumulate items because the government and the banking system is full of people in that system that have money and they got to do something with it. Because they pension funds from the police department, from the teacher department, fireman department, and all that money is called venture capital, or either, bank investments. So they got to flip that money. They need somebody to get that money to get a yield on them profits. So the best way to do that is through mortgages and commercial lending.
Let me ask you this. Well, first of all, what type of response did you get?
Well, we was on the radio, so I couldn't see the response, but I know the immediate brothers was like, man, I ain't know gang could be put down on that level, because it's really boss gang. You go get your credit fixed. You get a bank loan from Navy Federal. They give you $250,000. You go buy 5 houses in the hood. You teach your homies how to fix their credit, and then you sell them the houses that you fixed up. Now you got generational wealth, and that property is in that neighborhood, so they now become still the renters, they're homeowners.
Right.
So a lot of people, they get it once I break it down to them on that level. Black is the layman terms, they can see what I'm saying. And this is how you build wealth, and this is how you build power within your community, along with understanding, different things about, our culture. Like I say, hip hop fraternity, our culture, our call. Why do I say that? Because Mexicans, our Mexican brothers, got tacos and burritos. Our Asian brothers got egg rolls and shrimp fried rice. Our Greek brothers got guy rolls. We got hip hop. That is our black gold. So when you think about the minerals in Africa, you talk about Africa owns 30% of the minerals in Africa. What about the minerals that we own, which is the hip hop and the music industry? You know what I'm saying? That is just like gold. That's like oil. You know, it generates trillions of dollars annually, and we got to get control of that. Once we get control of that, we get understand how business works. Business is Latin. There's certain things that you got to understand, about business that it will give you the advantage. If you don't know about capital gains, if you don't know about tax rebates, you don't know how to get a tax, you don't know how to write off stuff on your taxes, then you hustling backwards. So everybody else is winning, but you're losing because you're buying $100,000 watch and not using that as a product or item that you're going to write off on taxes because it goes along with your business model. Your garage can be your office. You can leverage that against your home.
Where do you, I never saw you conduct yourself in such a manner. Where do you think most of us got lost at with the jury and that sort of thing? I have my own personal opinion. As a matter of fact, I think, I do know exactly where it comes from, but speaking to the people, what could you possibly say to some of those that's coming up to keep them from getting trapped in the same game? Because some people get in that game, man, and they stay stuck, man.
It's cool to have jury. See that?
Yeah.
That's the new HHF bracelet. I got the HHF charm, and I got the HHF ring. But by me putting HHF on there, you know what that does, right? It gives me an instant tax break.
Right.
So you can shine, you can look good, but you got to
make sense with it.
You got to make sense. Now I spent $100,000 on jury, but that $100,000 is a write-off because I'm Hip Hop Fraternity, and that is my jury. But as long as I put HHF on it, there's not one tax agent that can come in and audit me and say that I don't represent my brand.
Right.
So you know what I mean? So it's about creating brands like that truck. You know what I'm saying? That says U.S. FedEx. So the FedEx check, it's got the FedEx logo. So if FedEx, all their members wore FedEx charms, that'd be a write-off for the CEO of FedEx.
Right.
So you know what I'm saying? It's just being able to understand how to use the system. That's why I said business is Latin. When somebody's speaking Spanish, well, that's what happens when you don't understand business. They speak in Spanish. They speak in a foreign language.
Yeah.
And you got to understand the language of business. Once you understand the language of business, then you can wear the jury. I got the Maybach, the black one. I don't remember if you're seeing it down when you said Gino. I got the black Maybach, but it's under my company name. My insurance is commercial insurance. So if you hit my Maybach, it's $1 million for me or you. You know what I mean? You can sue me up to $1 million because I got commercial insurance because it's not my car. I don't own anything. I don't own anything.
Right.
I have a C corporation. I own stock, but the stock is not valuable until you sell them. So they can't tax something. They can't tax stock. So as long as you got money in stock, you can't tax it. And then if I work for my company, I don't take money out of the company. I pay myself a salary or a bonus. You see what I'm saying? And then once it becomes a salary or bonus, then it becomes taxable because of capital gain. But, you know what I'm saying, as a business, I ain't never got to ever, buy jewelry.
Right.
For myself.
Right.
But the company could buy jewelry for itself. The company could buy a Maybach. The company can live in Buckhead. As long as 2 rooms is used, for office, it becomes tax deductible. So I'm living in Buckhead, but I'm not paying no rent because I'm taking that money. And if I make $1 million and I spend $1 million, which is the goal, spend as much as you make, then the government got to write that off. But the money I'm spending, I could enjoy the luxuries and amenities that anybody else. I could enjoy driving a Maybach or enjoy having flashy jewelry, but not necessarily having flashy jewelry or owning the Maybach.
Who put you on game?
It's just, having accountants and talking to people and spending money. Then you figure out, just like if you over there, you on Pearl Street and you see niggas running game and they playing, you peep the game, you figure out, man, I can play this a little bit better than these cats, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, just knowing once you learn the game, just figure out like, okay, well, if I could do this, she told me I could do this, then I could do this.
Right.
Now I don't need her no more. All I gotta do is just follow the protocols of the tax codes, you know what I mean, and learn all the codes. It's a whole bunch of them. You learn them, you'll find out that 80% of the codes is in your favor.
You know,
That's why Donald Trump and all them is cool.
right. You know something I see in the hood a lot, man. Players like yourself that have been around for a lot of years and have learned a lot being out here on these streets and making mistakes and bumping their head and so forth. They don't pass game on. Why?
Well, I do.
With those players, do you?
Well, because see, we have a I mentality. You know what I'm saying? You know, ain't no I in team, but it's I and win.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of them, you know, they want to win, so they use the I and win to make it individualized, which is another I. So they individualize accomplishment, and they don't never see their brother as they see themselves. You know, one thing I can say about the Jewish community is that they so powerful that they help each other out. So once they get a certain level, they pass on certain wisdom and they borrow money to each other. You know, so they can, you know, Asians do the same thing. When you see the Bank of China, you know how many Bank of China's in America? 32. You know how many African American banks it is? 4. So they got 32 banks that when they come over here, you know, and the people is putting their money in Chinese bank. The Chinese putting their money in Chinese bank, so they know exactly how much business they're doing and how much revenue that they generate because it's going through the banking system. So when they say, hey, look, my cousin Black just came over here, he won't open up a nail shop, they say, you're good because we see your banking system, we see what type of money you generate. And that's the problem. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we don't think like other ethnic groups. You know, you got Chinatown, you got little Cuba, you got little Havana, you got little Mexico, you got Greek town, you got Jew town, but you ain't got little Ghana. You ain't got little Nigeria. You ain't got little Burkina Faso. You know what I'm saying? You know, we don't have none of that. So, you know, that being said, that is the problem. But it stems from our sojourn here in Mississippi. When they first brought us to the Mississippi and put us in the cotton fields, you know, in 1710, up under a guy by the name of Willie Lynch out of Jamaica, they was able to inculcate a certain mentality that has persisted in our people to this day. So a lot of this shit you see with these brothers is coming from slavery. You know, this I mentality, you know, house nigga mentality. I'm the house nigga. I work with master. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's how they train them. They separated them. They gave certain people privileges and they made other people better than others. And to this day, we still act like house niggas. And we don't understand that our biggest enemy is our disunity. You know, the fact that we don't work together is what's killing us. Everybody else work together. You know, just go study people. Everybody got a think tank. Jews got a think tank. The Greeks got a think tank. The Arabs got a think tank. We got maybe 2, NAACP and Action Network. And those go back to the same mentality. There's a lot of individualism going on over there as well. So, you know, until we understand, you know, how to practice group economics and group politics and how to move as one force, we're going to continue to have this adversity and this debauchery. You know what I'm saying? So the main thing is to link up with a good organization, you know, with masterminds, masterful thinkers, and create a think tank, and then we can deal with the ills of our problem. Like I have 37 CEOs, I have over 100 executives, so we meet bi-weekly, and I talk to them about the issues that's going on in New York. You know, what is y'all situation in New York? What is y'all situation in Milwaukee? What is y'all situation in Kentucky? What is y'all situation in Ohio? We all over the world. So all those people are able to talk and vent, you know, and demonstrate, you know, what they got going on and think. At the end of the meetings, we conclude, okay, this is what we need to do collectively. You know, I told them in last week's meeting, I said, I need everybody to create a greetings team. So when people come to your chapters, you know, you got somebody to greet them. I said, you also need to have public speakers. I said, the reason why you want to have public speakers is you don't want to just give people the same old thing. You know, invite speakers in your community, the mayor, lawyers, you know, A&Rs, you know, music execs, and have them speak weekly, annually. Then I said, also what we need outside of speakers is we need to have a sign-in sheet. So they was like, explain why I said sign-in sheet is let them know they entering into a fraternity, a business, and they can see their logo, and that creates control and point of interest. what I'm saying? Then once we get there, the greetings team let them know that they welcome, right?
Right.
Then the public speaker let them know, like, man, every time I come here, I can expect something different. So, now, because we got the think tank and we got 37 chapters all over the country, we got 37 cities thinking the same way. So wherever you go, you're gonna be replicated, you're gonna mimic, HHL. So it's gonna be the same protocols around the world. Now people are going to be able to understand what group economics. So if we can do that collectively, guess what else we can do? Next week, hey, everybody put $100 up. What we gonna do? We're gonna form this. We're gonna form that. We're gonna invest in this stock. Because if you can get them to start working together on smaller levels, and you can get that craziness out of their DNA and elevate their thinking, then eventually you can get them to do bigger and better things. So that's what we're doing. It's all the process. And it's all strategic because, our people, man, you can't give them steak. Steak or choke.
Yeah.
You gotta give them milk.
Yeah.
You can't give them tablespoons, you give them teaspoons. And that's what it's all about. It's about building the community, and looking at the mistakes of Elvis Cleaver, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad, Minister Farrakhan, Noble Drew Ali, Marcus Garvey, Elvis Cleaver, Huey Newton. Once you look at some of the mistakes that they made in their sojourn, then you can say, okay, this is what was needed. So we bring in the gang bangers, we bring in the politicians, we bring in the businessmen,
right,
and the everyday people together.
Go ahead.
We're bringing them together so they can say, okay, well, I'm not hanging with no drug dealer or no gang member. But if he's your brother and y'all up on the hip hop fraternity, now the drug dealer get a chance to have access to what? Power, intellectualism, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. So now you see your brother, like James, my CEO of the company, he's a sitting politician. He's also the former vice president for Action Network with Al Sharpton. So you have certain skill sets that can be passed on to the brothers. So all the brothers, when they call him and they need some political advice, they call Brother James. He breaks it down, how to be civil, deal with your civic leaders, and how to, approach the mayor, how to form grants in 501s, 501c3s, and 501c4s, because now they got access. Before it's like they only had access to, I say Pimpin Ken, the biggest pimp in the country. I'm trying not to call no names, but just say a leader of something. The vice lord, leader of Gangsters. The local, the biggest, the kingpin. That's who they had access to. So that's the only examples they had. So that's the only thing they can mimic. But if you got people like James, who our CEO, and all them dudes be calling him, like, man, how do I get in contact with my mayor? He shows them, he walks them step by step. He tells them exactly what they need to do. And that's the streets and the executive suites connecting with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm the street dude. I tell them all the time, I'm the street dude. James, he the conservative, he the businessman. So I let him deal with Kamala Harris. When we went to the White House, I let them go. When, we deal with the mayor for the Players Ball, the HHF War, I let him talk to the mayor. I let him do the presentation, get a mayor an award from the hip hop fraternity. Because now I can deal with the street dudes. He can deal with the executives, but me and him on the same page though. You know what I'm saying? He got a gangster, he got a street nigga like me that's out here working for him. I got a conservative businessman, politician working for me. And that's what was missing in our community. The underworld and the square world was like this. We thought we were separate. No, we all African Americans, we all descendants of Africa. So we all one people. And that's what I had to do. I had to bring the streets and the executive suites together. Remember, I've been having that movie from the Ghetto Streets Executive Suite. That was what that was all about. Bringing the corporate brothers and sisters together with the street underworld brothers and sisters, and taking the gang members and all of them and hooking them up with the civil community leaders. The people that wherever they is, whether they Q dogs or whatever fraternity they are, and let them coexist. So now he could talk to a dude in the street that's so dope or a gangbang and find out more about the streets. Now he's more knowledgeable. Now he know how to deal with his community.
I heard you mention a little while ago about us dealing with jury and that sort of thing. I was talking to this kind of go hand in hand. I was talking to my two youngest kids the other day, and we were back and forth about, I'm a different age, of course. They came in, in this day and time, and they do things a lot differently. Really the same, but different. Me being their age, I invested in a lot of black. I was pro-black. Mm-hmm. They tend to, go the opposite direction. So I'm trying to get them to see that, just like you was talking about the jury, spend money. It's nothing wrong with spending money on jury. Just make sense out of it. What would you say to the younger generation about how would you go about transforming their minds into investing in themselves or in the black culture?
Well, the first thing, we got to teach our young people, it takes finance to uplift the nation, right? So you can't do nothing without finance. Everything had to be financed at some point, some juncture, right? Toothpaste got to be financed. If you want to brush your teeth, you need what? Toothpaste. It costs money.
Right.
If you want toilet paper, it costs money. So what we need to do is we need to understand, and this to young people, this is how I do it. I've been the CEO and founder of Hip Hop Fraternity for 5 years. I've never bought anything in 5 years until this year. But what I did was I created businesses, and I was able to invest in those businesses, and those businesses yield me a ROI, a return on my investment. So if I wanted a Rolls Royce, right, or a Maybach, what I did was the money that it would have cost me to put a Maybach, I invested in products and I invested in stuff that I can get a yield on. So once we invest and we yield it times 10, 10x, you know what I'm saying? Then we got $1 million. Now we can take that 100,000 and we can buy that Maybach, because we know that we 10 times our money.
Right.
Instead of just going out there. So a lot of young people that got money, before you decide to go buy a car or some jewelry or whatever, first of all, you make that money through investments and through savings, right? And then you yield that investment 10 times. Now, what would have cost you 100,000 when you had 100 bands, now you got $1 million, you got 900 bands more than what you would have had. And now when you buy that car at that type of juncture, after you didn't flip your money 10 times, now you can really afford it. So that's how you do it. Whenever you want something, you want a house or something, you invest in some more property, you build leverage in that, sell some of those properties, yield your investment, get your ROI, a return on your investment, and then you take the money, the residuals, and you say, okay, I'm gonna buy this house outright now. But it still ain't good to buy a house outright, but if you just have to, that's how you do it. You gotta make money to spend money. So that's the name of the game.
In other words, people, you see that there is value in the black culture, in the black community, in entertainment, sports, real estate. All types of black businesses are thriving now, so there are no more excuses about choosing, the opposite direction. That's merely what I was trying to explain to my kids. For some reason, sometimes the younger generation don't see value in their own people.
Well, your kids is the last one to receive, unless they inherit it, right? So like my kids, I try to talk to them till they blue in the face, but because it's coming from you, it don't have that power. As you can meet a young man on the street, the same age your son, give him the same knowledge, he take to it like a fish take the water, because he's looking for that father figure. The most craziest people is not the ones that's fatherless, but the ones who have fathers and mothers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right.
Because they have that privilege. They can bounce from left to right, not thinking about it, right? But the people who don't have a father, they always wish they had a father. People that don't have a mother always wish their mother was there. So when they find somebody that represent that father figure or that mother-like figure, then they more receptive. But your children, Jerry look at you like, ah, Dad, you know, like you black, you a legend out here in these streets. But your son don't see you that way. He see you as pops. You know, he know when you in there for 2 hours on the toilet, your stomach hurt. You know,
Right.
he know when you know the house is scrambles and rambles and jabbles. He see that. The public don't see that. See, they want to see the side that people. My kids are like, I want to see the side that people pay to see. I said, well, Bobby Womack said you get that for free. You gonna see the side that nobody paid to see, and you gonna get the best of me. See, they getting the best of you, but they think the best of you ain't the rest of you. They think like, oh no, I want Black, the legend, the street guy. I want the one that, you know, everybody talk about, you know, the legendary DJ, the legendary, you know, filmmaker. I want him.
Right.
They don't know they getting what the people ain't getting. They getting the best of you.
Right.
And that's why when niggas say, well, how did you raise your kids? Well, you know, one of my sons is on All American. My other son, one of my sons, he's into film. They went to college. Well, they got the best of me.
Right.
They didn't get the part of me when I go out the house. I'm strapping up and I'm going out there and I'm looking like this. You know what I'm saying? When I came home, I kept the strap in the trunk or hid it somewhere in my room. You know what I'm saying? Because I was daddy. I wasn't Pimpin Ken. But they got older, they want Pimpin Ken. Where's Pimpin Ken at? I don't know that dude. Like, man, your daddy cold, man. Your daddy a raw dude. My son be like, man, I don't, you know, like, because he ain't see it.
Right.
Then I got to explain to him, like, boy, I was cold. Boy, I'm telling you, I had this, I did that.
And still is.
He looking at me like, where we at? You know, where you had these many women? Where was you popping all this game? Where the Minks and Diamonds everybody talking about? Yeah, you just too young to see them, but they was there.
Right.
You know, but you know that's how kids is, man. So yeah, you gonna have that, you know, to eternity, man. They gonna always look at you as his daddy.
As pops. All right. Speaking of that, I want to dip into some years ago, man. I always wondered, and I never got. Well, I have had plenty of opportunities, but I never touched bases with you talking about your relationship with my old friend, man, Pimp C. What was it like, man, with you and Pimp?
Well, you know, Pimp, I met him at Sharptown Mall, and I had on a mink coat. He had some mink shoes on. I said, man, those some cold shoes. He said, that's a cold mink too. And we looking at each other, and I know him from somewhere, but I don't know who he is like that, right? He know me. He said, man, is you Pimpin Ken? I said, yeah. I said, you look like somebody too. He said, yeah, Pimp C. I said, your pocket full of stones, right? And man, we've been cool ever since. I went to his house, man. We talked all night. He showed me a tape of a R&B chick having sex, famous R&B chick, and she was having sex with a famous rapper. And I showed him my movie Pimpology, and I was like, man, I said, that's crazy, you know what I'm saying? And I said, what you gonna do with that? Yeah, man, you know, pimping, man, you know. So we left that night, and we ain't never separated since. And he went to prison about a couple years later, and I went to see him in prison. And when he came home, you know, he asked for me. And we was cool, you know. I helped him out a lot of bit, you know. It was some people that I knew had money out of Nashville. They wanted to work with him, so a lot of artists wanted to work with him. So I brought him a lot of money, and I was like his manager, default manager, if that's what you want to call it. And we was just jammed, man, you know. And he introduced me to Lil Boosie, you know.
What was it? What were some of your most memorable times with Pimp, man?
Riding down the highway, him on the phone talking to Jay Prince, and I'm like telling him, man, hey man, I ain't got nothing to do with that, Jay. You know what I'm saying? Pimp talking crazy. I'm like, man, I ain't got shit to do with that. You know, and you know, the time he went off on Atlanta, and we was doing so good, and Pimp just went off, called them homosexuals, and did all kind of stuff, man. And I'm like, man, what are you doing? He said, man, I got this. I said, you gonna mess up your record sales? You know, but you know, the niggas, they loved him down there in Atlanta. So, you know, that didn't really hurt him. You know, I think what hurt him was he had a lot of people around him that they even said some people from Jackson, Mississippi had something to do with something. You know, he had a lot of people around him that was on some other stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and Pimp was generous, and you know, I was probably, I don't know if I'm wrong for saying this, but I was probably one of the only dudes that was with him that probably was, you know, really, you know, trying to see him win. You know, a lot of people was trying to get what they can from him, and Pimp knew that, and he wasn't allowing it. And I think a lot of people got mad and discouraged behind that, and that might have a lot to do with, you know, what happened to him. You know, people just want something for nothing, and people want to get something out of something, and a dude being so gang tight that he ain't going.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what it was. You know, and you know, there was a lot of stuff happening, man, that I found out afterwards. You know, family business and stuff. I was like, man, you know. But my memorable time, most memorable time, would probably be, you know, when I went to see him in jail. You know, he was so happy. You know, he was happy. He was happy as hell, man. He was like, man, you know, he was smiling. And we talked for about an hour behind that glass, you know, and, you know, I told him, I said, man, whenever you get out of here, man, I know you did 4 years. I said, whenever you get out of here, I got you. You know, when he came home, you know, we had a lot of little plays set up for him.
Yeah.
That's the most memorable time, seeing him in that jail, and you know, him being happy seeing me come to see him. Because you know, it seemed like people wouldn't come to check him out. They kind of written him off. A lot of people when he first went to jail.
Wow, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
When you got the news that Pimp had passed, can you remember where you was?
Yep, I was in Atlanta. I was with my man Paper Chase, man. He rest in peace too. And we was sitting there. He at that time, you know, we was internet savvy, but internet wasn't popping like that.
Right.
You know, it was popping, but not popping. So he said, man, Google Pimp C death. So I Googled, and then once I seen, I called Ruben, which is one of his managers. I called all the people, you know, Bond, all the motherfuckers. I called everybody, and they said it was true. You know, so it was crazy because he called me 2 days before, and we haven't had talked for like about a week. He said, Pimpin Ken, he called me Ken. He said, Ken, man, I'm sorry for being so tardy, right? Because we usually talk at least every day, you know. And it was peculiar. He said, I'm finna go, Too Short got a concert, I'm finna go fuck with Short now, you know. And that was the last time I heard from him. He said, I'll call you right back. Next time I heard, Paper Chase was telling me, man, check the internet, because he was one of them dudes that was on the internet back then a lot. And you know, I seen it and I checked on it. It was there, but you know, it kind of messed me up because we had, you know, he was supposed to be doing the movie. We
Right.
did 5 movies. He was supposed to be doing the movie with me, of me. He was supposed to play me. You know, we had a deal with Universal for $3 million. A lot of people didn't know that. You know, we had a deal for $3 million, contract signed. And D, the brother out of Nashville, D. Shay Jones, he was also one of our business partners. You know, he had put up like $250,000, you know, working on projects and stuff like that to get to that point. And he was going to also be one of the investors in the project. But Universal gave Pimp a deal for $3 million. So D was supposed to get $1 million, I was supposed to get $1 million, and Pimp was supposed to get $1 million. Unfortunately, D went to jail a week after Pimp died. So I just looked at it like God don't want me to get my money that way, you know what I mean? And
right.
I used to always be like, man, why me? You know, I'm out here, man, I'm trying to get out the streets, I'm trying to do something legit, and crazy stuff happened. But, you know, since then, I've done several $1 million deals, you know what I'm saying? But God was just showing me that the time wasn't right and that I ain't gonna let you go right now, you know? But yeah, man, Pimp, you know, we supposed to play me. It's all on the internet, you know. He talked about, man, I'm gonna fit to play Ken in the movie, and me and Ken got 5 movie deals. It's in best of both worlds, and it was the truth. You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, what dude you know that comes home, the hottest dude in the country, and he asks for you. Then y'all meet up a month, 2 months later, he telling you got a deal, and he gonna give you $1 million. The average dude, he gonna give you 100,000, 50,000. He probably won't even tell you about no deal, But he's like, man, Ken, Ruby wants you to sign a contract. You'll make sure you get your money too.
Right.
And that's when I knew he was a real dude. I said, man, this dude ain't trying to cross me. He ain't trying to cross D. You know, this stuff is real. D still got the real contract to this day. So a lot of people who don't believe me, I could show them the contract that, you know, this really happened. And, you know, Pimp understood me from a business standpoint. And people don't know that when they shot Pimps Up, Hoes Down, I negotiated my contract. They gave me more money than they gave everybody. You know what I'm saying? Not only did they give me more money, they gave everybody, but the movie ended with me and I was in the movie credits.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So these are the things that I negotiated as a young man at 30 years old. You know, and I was able to get all of that. So Pimp knew about that. Then he also knew that I did a distribution deal with Scriptmaster, with Nelly and what's that boy named? Luke. All of them was a part of that. I negotiated my own deal with them. You know, made some millions out that situation. Then I went to the white dude down there, Southern Music Distribution, you know, and did the deal with him. So I was doing deals, you know, before dudes even know what deals was. I'm the first DVD they did. At that time, it was a DVD 9, meaning that you had to compress it and put it in a DVD 9, and then they make it for DVD 9. It cost $10,000 to convert a DVD back in them days.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was doing that kind of stuff, you know, and then even today, you know, people don't know I do liquor deals for celebrities. I do potato chip deals. I do book deals. And that's the kind of relationship that Pimp I had. He know that I was a businessman, you know, and he was a businessman. And, you know, that's how we really, you know, we were street niggas that was business conscious, you know what I'm saying? We both had understanding about making money, you know. And he wanted to transition from where he was to where he was going. And I think people weren't ready for him. Because, you know, you spent 4 years in penitentiary, you're smart.
Right. So doing studio sessions, what was it like with watching him make tracks, man?
Man, it was crazy because he'd put on some old school beats.
Yeah.
And when he put the old school beats on, he said, these boys jamming at the kids. So he'd be playing like some Funkadelic, or he'd play some Maze, and then he'd do a twist of the mix, and he'd put it up, and he said, yeah, this is the real country rap tunes. You know, and he would start singing, and a lot of people know he can sing.
Yeah, he can sing real good.
On that Bastard P album, that was Pimp C singing.
Right.
You know,
he sung on a lot of, man, you know, Pimp was a
talented.
Man, he did songs, man, where you would think it was 4 or 5 people on the song. Mm-hmm. It ain't nobody but him.
Yeah. He was a brilliant soul. And he, you know, even the last album we did together, we was in L.A., he called me, it was with Jive Records. He said, man, Ken, get a flight. Jive gonna pay for it, right? I said, okay. He said, I'm gonna get you a hotel at the Beverly Hills. We stay at the Beverly Hills Hotel with Wycliffe now. I said, cool. So he got me like a room for like 4 days, you know, $1,000 a night. So when I got in the room, I said, man, you ain't gotta spend money like that. He said, come on, Ken, man, that's pimping, man. That's jive money, baby. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna eat this motherfucking budget up, man. I've been inviting everybody out here, man. You know.
Yeah.
And he was like, man, listen, I'm gonna give you 10,000, you know what I'm saying? And you're gonna do the song. He said, just give me 5,000 back. I'll write you a check. Give me 5,000 back. So he would write the check. I do the song. He give me 10,000. I give him 5 back. I ain't gonna say nobody else because I don't want to implicate their business. But he did that with a lot of artists. He would give them 60,000. They give him 30. He was a player, man. He was eating that budget up. You know, that jive budget. You know, and people didn't know that you can get money. That's how you break record labels.
Free game.
Free game.
Free game.
Man, you can get your partner and be like, man, I'm gonna give you 60,000 for a beat. They do the invoice. You get the 60,000. You know what I'm saying? They gonna give you 1099, but after you deduct the taxes, y'all still got a good 40, 50,000.
Man, y'all just excuse, man. I didn't know it was gonna be this wind out here today. Y'all excuse that little wind, man. But we working through it. Let me grab my stuff. I'm about to fly away. Yeah, man. That's. I love to hear them type of stories, man. You know, it take me back, man, because I lived them days, and I was blessed to know a lot of these players, man, that came up, such as yourself. You know, you blessed to be still living and around here, man, doing positive things. But some of those that's gone, man, I like to, you know, sit with gentlemen like yourself, man, and talk about them things. You know, it's just like talking about an old uncle or something that's done passed, man.
Sitting on the porch in Mississippi.
Yeah, man. Yeah, real talk. Next thing I want to bring up too, man, is you and your business ventures. Well, first of all, how many songs are you on? How many different artists were you able to bless?
I try to name most of them. Jermain Dupri, Big Daddy Kane, Ice-T, Lil Jon, Mack 10, 50 Cent, Sabrina Baby Boy mixtape, Pastor Troy 5 songs, Bun B, Too Short, E40, Spice 1, Cuckoo Cow, Baby Drew, man, and about at least 102 independent artist songs.
Wow.
Yeah, so I did a lot of stuff, man. I'm trying to think of some more people. Loom from Bad Boys, that went platinum. Jermain Dupri sold 1 million. We had quite a few of them that did millions of sales. You know, I did videos with OutKast, with Pimp C, PIMP with 50 Cent. That's me talking. Pimpin Ken said don't down and crown them. All together, collectively, in terms of YouTube views with my face on it, was over 1 billion streams. You know.
Pimpin Ken.
Yeah.
That is crazy, man.
I got more plaques than some rappers.
Did you when you was coming through that era, did you feel that you wanted to be in music or what?
No, I stumbled up on some games. So when I did Puffy, Loom's album, Puffy said, "What's your publishing company?" I didn't know I had one, so I said Ken Ivy, and so I went and I asked the lawyer. I said, "Why Puffy asked me that?" He said, "Because they owe you money." So I set up my publishing company, Ken Ivy Publishing, and I started getting on people's albums. I started asking them to get on my album. Then I found out if you be on somebody's album for more than 5 minutes, you own the whole song. So on that Pastor Troy, I did 10 minutes. So I own that whole 10 Commandments. You know what I'm saying? I just learned, you speak over a certain period of time. So you find me on all these albums, you see me own the majority of the songs. But they didn't know what I was doing. They thought I was just getting on their songs, but I was really, putting myself in the position 89 years after I'm dead. Because publishing is good 89 years after you're dead. That's why they were so bent on getting the publishing from Michael Jackson, because he owned the Beatles catalog and he owned Eminem catalog. He owned several catalogs. He only had for Sony Music, which means that if me and you put out a song and the song comes out and you go on about your life and you end up smoking crack or shooting heroin and you never claim your publishing, the publishing going to copyright. They're going copyright control. So in that copyright is billions and billions of dollars. So Michael Jackson had the copyright of many people that was there for the Beatles that never claimed their publishing. But the copyright, even though you can't touch the money, because it's illegal to touch it, because you can't take nobody publishing. If you do, they're gonna hit you with the RICO Act. That's called conspiracy. The RICO Act, Continuing Criminal Enterprise. So what they do is they extrapolate the interest. So if they got $1 billion in copyright control, you already know what the interest is. So if you own $1 billion worth of publishing and it's unclaimed publishers, and the Beatles now had billions and billions of dollars worth of publishing, Michael Jackson was getting probably $300,000-400,000 or more, or $3-4 million a month, just in copyright control interest. And that's why he was staying. People said, why is he spending $100,000 a month to stay in that house? The man was getting that kind of money.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, he was getting that kind of money because publishing is so important. When you look at The Bodyguard and you hear Whitney Houston say, "I would always love you," that's a beautiful song, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whitney Houston song her heart out, didn't she?
Yep.
But Dolly Parton got to publish it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, when you hear Biggie, you know, sampling, you know, the Isley Brothers, they getting the publishing. You know, when Pimp C died, 5 years after he died, a movie company called me, gave me $5,000 just because I was on the album, not because they wanted to use my portion of the album, you know, and that's what publishing is. You know, publishing is a good 89 years after you dead. You know, there's one dude, he was on America Most Wanted, and when he was on America Most Wanted, the lawyers seen him and they called him and said, "Hey, you know, are you so-and-so?" He said, "Yes." He said, "Your daddy used to pay the drums for the Beatles. We got $3 million right here in copyright control, unclaimed royalties." He said, "Do you want us to claim them? You get $2 million, we get $1 million, we get a third." He said, "Yeah." So they went and they did their due diligence, they did their forensic accounting, figured out the numbers, and gave the dude $2 million. His daddy
Man, I got another title I got to give you, man. It's the teacher.
Yeah.
Man, you give away so much game, bro. Real talk. You a mastermind of a whole lot of different areas, man. In this thing, what we call life, man. And you give it away. You move around, man, in the United States, really worldwide, man. You just give this game away. So I'm gonna add that to the many titles that you got, man. You're a teacher.
We all teachers, man.
Yeah.
Life is a teacher, right? And you think about it in this capacity, you know. Out of all the universities you're gonna graduate from, Black, the only university you never graduate from is life.
Yep.
I was 54 years old, man, and a partner of mine, I asked him to do something for me. And he said, "Man, I ain't got nothing to do with that." It hurt me to the core, and I was upset about it. But at the same time, you know, it just taught me a lesson, you know, that, you know, you just have, you know, you're out here on your own, you know, and you have to go for what you know. So now, you know, recently, you know, I took all my artists on Drink Champs, Big Facts, Off the Porch, all these major, Beehive. I took all these artists on all these platforms only to realize that the artist has a certain mentality. I knew what artists was working with them getting on their albums, right? I knew what artists was appearing in their videos, but I never had dealt personally with artists. So dealing with an artist on a personal level, it gave, life taught me a whole other lesson. And most of these artists, what they do is they graduate. You understand what I'm saying?
What you mean they graduate?
They come to me, they get on Drink Champs, I give them studio time, I give them marketing, promotion. Then they say, Black work with Universal Records. So they want to graduate from Pimpin Ken to Black. Then Black takes them and put them on videos featuring with Lil Baby and stuff like that. Now they want to graduate to Universal Records. So they're not stable and they're not focused. A lot of artists, you know, they're opportunists.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for guys like yourself and myself who are savvy in the business community, savvy in the music industry, to actually curate or to leverage that. Because you can't leverage uncommitted or disloyalty talent forever, because as you know and I know, it takes 2 to 3 years to get an artist even to a certain level. So once you get an artist at a certain level and he leaves you or she leaves you, now you go get another artist, you do that 5 or 6 times, you're 80 years old. Now you done wasted your life. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I learned. So, you know, life is a teacher. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Man, that's crazy.
You ain't never look at it like that.
Well, I see it, you know what I'm saying? I attribute that to the distrust we have with each other. Slavery. And that came from slavery, post-traumatic, you know, syndrome and different things like that. Like you said a little while ago, the Willie Lynch situation. And
think about it like this, Black. I'm Pimpin Ken. I don't rap or act. I pose absolutely no threat to you. Only thing I can bring is value from a people person and a relationship perspective, right? I know a lot of people. I can bring you down to Mississippi and get you an interview with Black. No problem. Black ain't gonna tell me no. We swap this. We do this all the time.
right,
So that would be an asset to you to the Mississippi demographics. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? To show up on Blacks and or go to 97 with Quasi or with MOB now. You know what I'm saying? That's an advantage to you. So I pose no threat to you. So when you got a problem with Pimpin Ken, who's not a rapper or actor, it gotta be slavery. It's gotta be slavery. How can you possibly have a problem with a man that poses no threat to you?
that ain't even in your lane.
The divide and conquer mentality has been inculcated in your parents, and that shit just slipped into you too.
Yeah, it has slipped into a lot of children and grandchildren.
It makes no sense for you not to work with Pimpin Ken. I signed Boosie, I signed Ice-T, I signed Corey Wise, Rick Ross, Freeway doing the movie with me, Ice-T doing the movie, I'm doing the movie with Boosie. I'm really in the game. You know what I'm saying? You see me on Drink Champs, Breakfast Club. I'm really in the game. I am an asset to you as an artist. But every time I try to work with an artist, they want to compete. And I tell them, I said, don't go on an interview with me. Black gonna ask me all the questions. I'm telling you. Because he wanna know. But what you can do is you go on an interview with me and you can benefit sitting there. And when Black said, who was that? That little snippet of mention is gonna carry you to your next interview. And if they keep seeing you with me, they're gonna say, man, who the fuck is Ken got with him? I wanna interview that little dude or that little chick.
Right.
You know, and I try to tell them about the process. See, most of them are instant gratification and microwave mentalities. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to teach them about delayed gratification. I said, man, this dude you see called Pimpin Ken, this 30 years in the making, man. Multiple relationships, multiple people that I've done deal with, but I kept my face card good. You know, so my face card benefits you more than it benefits me. You know, and so when I talk Mike Fresh, you know who Mike Fresh is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my little buddy, man.
Yeah, I took him on the Breakfast Club and on met Hoffer. You know, he was able to leverage that.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the interview, like you just stated, man. During the interview with you, they asked him a question. He was able to come up to the mic and say a couple of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, it benefits.
That little question, one question. You know, how he leverage it, how he, you know, take it off of the Breakfast Club, put it on his page,
Yeah.
and work it. That's enough for his competitors and for his potential interviewees or interviewers to say he's been on the Breakfast Club. No,
Yeah.
it wasn't your interview, but you could use that as leverage.
Absolutely.
You know, so when I got on Jermain Dupri album, why you think Lil Jon wanted me his album? Because he heard me on at that time was Money Win a Thing. Remember that?
Yep.
Jay-Z and Jermain Dupri. Jermain was
Absolutely.
running the city. So I got the biggest dude to get me on his album, then Lil Jon, Too Short, Mack 10, and all the rest of them followed.
Yeah.
You know, but I had to get on something to get to something. You gotta go to 0 to 100. So that's what I be trying to tell my artists, like, look, man, all these dots gonna add up to a puzzle one day. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? You just gotta trust the process.
Gotta
and
keep pushing.
Believe what I'm saying.
Last time you talked to JD, man.
This morning.
Okay. All right. Shouts out to Jermain Dupri, man. I'm actually going out to Atlanta to DJ Smurf's party in May. And, you know, I remember the days where I was grabbing their music and I didn't know who they was. I was grabbing their music when Jermain Dupri had the Miami Bass All-Stars album. And I used to grab that type of stuff, and Smurf was actually on that album, man. So shout out to them ATL boys, man.
Yeah, man, ATL my second home, man. Them brothers, man, they embraced me. Jermain Dupri, Big Meech, all them dudes, man. Jeezy, Gucci, man. I used to hang out with all them dudes, man. We'd be in 112, we'd be in Magic City, Vision, You know, them dudes, strokers, them dudes was.
You talked to me since he been back, since he been out?
Let me show you something. I know your audience is like, what is he doing?
Man, this is the part of the podcast, man. What brings the interest, man. You know, when the moments, man, them pause moments, man. They really want to know what's going on.
They want to know. I'm finna show you. Check that out.
Oh man.
I just was down in Miami with the brother.
Man, that's crazy.
He's at his mansion.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah. So he also gave a shout out to Hip Hop Fraternity. I don't know if you've seen this, but this is on my Instagram. It's real Pimpin Ken _. If y'all want to see what me and Black about to look at, that's Meech right there. He gave a shout out to Hip Hop Fraternity. Stop the violence.
Still rocking that BMF. Big Meech.
Yes,
Man,
sir.
salute to BMF, man, whole BMF.
Yeah.
And
Black, all of them, my man Goldie, Calico Jones, it's a lot of them.
man, you just brought up a name, Calico Jones.
Yeah, it's my partner.
Man, I ain't seen that brother in so many years.
Yeah, he's still down there having money, running the city.
Whole lot of years, man. Shout out Calico Jones,
BMF
man.
Cash.
Hey.
Hey, man, shout out.
Like you said, man, them little small key points.
A lot of them HHF too. My man Trill Will, you know, he BMF. You know, Goldie, he BMF. They all be hanging out with the hip hop fraternity. You know, all nations, you know, rock with us, man. All different facets, you know. I mean, cause my face card is good with a lot of these brothers, and they know I'm solid, you know what I'm saying? They know I ain't with that crap, you know, and they know I want to see them prosper. So a lot of them, you know, they may be doing what they doing, and some of them I can talk to, some of them I can't. But the ones I can reach out to, they know I mean good.
For sure. What's the next step for you, Ken?
Well, we got HHF Magazine, we got HHF Radio, we got HHF Clothing, HHF Management, HHF Records, HHF Social Media. You know, currently we have a global reach of over 60 million people that we've reached in the last 5 years. We got 20,000 active members, you know, that we have data on. We have over 100 executives in 38 CEOs, 38 states. We in every major hub from Chicago to Mississippi. We got a chapter here, you know, Carlos, you know, he run Los, dark skin and Los. He runs the chapter here at Gino, Mississippi.
Okay.
Gino, my CEO.
Where can the people find the you and Boosie, the movie with you and Boosie?
Oh, we working on it currently. We had it on Tubi, but it's been taken down. So we're gonna recalibrate, and we're gonna kind of like.
Y'all took it down, or they? What happened?
Yeah, we took it down.
Okay.
You know, Boosie wanted to take it down, and so we took it down, and we're working on a different rollout, a different play. So we got that movie done, we got Ice-T movie done, we got Rick Ross movie, we got my movie done. So it's a docu-series. So when we do it, we're gonna do it as a docu-series instead of as a documentary, so it can have more impact.
Gotcha.
You know, and everybody can make more money.
All right. Well, I want to get my personal copy, man. Ken, it was nice sitting down talking to you, man. When you leaving?
I was gonna leave after this, but I think we're gonna go get something to eat.
Yeah.
I had to get something to eat.
What you feel like eating?
I don't know. The brother was he was saying something, some soul food.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's some nice spots around here. Carlos, no, man. We're gonna link up with Carlos, man, and
Go get something to eat.
yeah, MOB supposed to be he told me to hit him up. So we're gonna grab something to eat, man. Nice sitting down and talking to you. Too Black, Too Strong. Aziatikk Blakk, my man Pimpin Ken, man. This is once again, like I said, man, this person's a friend of mine. But me and Ken gonna sit down.
You've been to a couple HHF meetings.
Oh yeah.
Black know what it is.
Yeah. And y'all still doing Monday nights?
Monday nights, baby.
Oh, same place?
I don't know. You've been to a couple of places.
The last one I came to was
Ice Bar.
yeah, Ice Bar.
Yeah, we still at the Ice Bar.
Still at the Ice Bar. What's the location?
5456 Fayetteville Road.
Okay. Every Monday night starting at
10 until
okay.
like 4, 3 in the morning.
And this is actually this is a networking event that you know, you welcome to just hit the highway, man. Just show up. Just go out there,
Everything
man.
free.
Yeah. And
Been free for 5 years.
and if an artist just decided to come out
They
there,
come perform for free.
y'all heard it right here, man.
Man, we into helping the community, Brother Black, and what I realized in Atlanta is that everybody was charging. And I sent my son to college down there, and my son should always ask me for money to, you know, for showcases. And so what I did when I went down there, I said, I'm gonna disrupt that whole system. And I said, the only game we're gonna run is no game. You know, so it's no game, no twists, no finesse or nothing. We just down there, we just giving back to the people. We've been doing it for 5 years, and people say, how you do it? You know, and I tell you, you know what I'm saying, it's better to give than receive, because God gonna bless you in areas that you ain't expected a blessing.
Okay.
You know? And that's
Seems
what
like we right on time, man. The man firing up the grass cutter back there, man. Well, he about to come down through here with all of that, and third, man. All right, Ken.
All right, y'all
Once
find
again,
me at
man.
Real Pimp Ken _ You get my books at audiobook.com. Type in my name, Pimpin Ken. And once again, brother, thank you, Brother Black.
Peace and love, man.
Peace and love.
All right.